But, then she went on to university at York University. My son went on to the University of Toronto. My son's just graduated with a master's from Concordia University. Every time he changes his ID or whatever, he still has all his friends on it. And they're at Harvard, they're in Australia, they're all over the world, and her friends are all over the world. What does it mean when you've got a generation of kids who are socially connected for life to everyone they've ever known? Where's the number one place people go for information? Not Google, right? We all know that. It's friends and colleagues. You ask over your garden fence. What does it mean when the garden fence is online and everybody's connected on their phone? Like, I have my Facebook, my MySpace, my Twitter, everything on this phone. What does it mean when everything is on an individual device, right? You already saw that in the last US election, right? All the polls were wrong in Idaho and New Hampshire, right? None of the pollsters got paid because they missed the spread. Actually, they were totally wrong. They said one was going to win one was going to win the other, and it was the opposite. Why? Because it's illegal to do polling on cell phones in the United States. They poll on household lines. What does it mean when people don't have household lines? And this is the dominant device, and 25% of Americans are on cell phones only. What does it mean when you take core populations, right? Millennials, there's more millennials than there are boomers. Only cell phone. Latinos, blacks, only cell phone. Changes the dynamics of the political process. Changes the dynamics of how you provide service. How do you deliver information? How do you read? Right? They released Dan Brown's new book, the guy who did the Da Vinci Code? The day it was released, it sold twice as many copies as ebooks than it did as print books. Right? You all know that because you're in libraries, but to me that was really interesting that we've hit the tipping point on this stuff. This morning they announced the Kindle was going international in every country in the world but Canada, so I'm pissed. How do we deal with community when all your friends are with you all the time and you can talk to all of them anytime? And what is a library? What is a government? What is a community worker who is not connected to their community? I did a survey in Toronto where we found out 13% of librarians had Facebook accounts. I'm going, are you running towards irrelevance or what? Could you pick a stupider strategy than not being in an environment where your users are? You just can't. And I had a number of them saying, why are you there? And they would say, well, I don't want to give up my privacy. And I'm going, who said you had to give up privacy? Well, I read. And I'm going, well, that's nice. Perhaps you want to try having an informed opinion and get in there and actually know how to manage your privacy settings so that you can take responsibility to teach your communities how to do it effectively. Or just be in denial. And, the blacksmith, right? How do we deal with learning? 80% of students in university now and community college there's a significant proportion of their courses in e-learning. I've built 2 master's degrees in Second Life. You can't do a law degree at Harvard without being in Second Life, a video gaming style environment, virtual worlds. We have an entire master's degree in library science that's done entirely through Second Life. We got 75% of the people who are registered in the 2 largest universities in the United States are single moms, the University of Phoenix and Western International, which don't have campuses and don't have libraries. So how are you being the library for the people who are in distance education? And what is your strategy for making sure that, in particular, the single moms in your neighborhood are able to lift up their wages to be more effective as the sole wage earner so they can get their degrees, get their accreditation, get their certificates they need in order to be successful? And if you're not doing that, how much damage are you doing to your community by not making a choice to move forward? How are we dealing with interaction? Answering questions. Libraries aren't about books, right? I always go into libraries and I look at their marketing saying, you're telling people you have books. Is there someone in your community who doesn't know that? Honest to God, how stupid do you think your citizens are? They know you got books. Do they know they have you to help them? Do they know you have training? Where's the picture of you online? Where's your Facebook account? Where's your relationship? Where's you saying, I know about genealogy, I know about how to help a small business, I know about how to help you with your homework? Where's your personal relationship with this stuff? Because the world's moving towards personal devices and social software that are personally connected to people. And if we don't do that, we're in trouble. Then we got the shallow thinking of relying on Google. Like most of you know about search engine optimization, right? The ability to change the rankings and what shows up on Google with advertising. You probably know that in the McCain campaign and the Obama campaign, that 70% of all the money collected was spent on search engine optimization on the internet, right? It wasn't spent on TV ads or telephone calls. You know that in the last US elections, they geotagged every single search engine result on Google so that you got different answers if you were in Idaho than if you're in Virginia. You got different answers if you were in a black neighborhood or a wealthy neighborhood than if you were in a poor neighborhood or a whatever. You all know that, right? You know you got different answers in Texas than you got in Baltimore. So how many of you let your libraries make money for people to come in and change the answers you provide from your databases and your catalogs to be open up to special interest groups, right? Just go, you can see it in Google, like, you know the organization Stormfront? It's a First Amendment protected racist organization in the United States. So if you type in Martin Luther King, they make sure that you can get their websites that talk about Martin Luther King being an evil man and talk an enormous number of lies. Or just type in where was Obama born, and Stormfront makes sure that on the 98% of people do not go past the third page of Google search engine results. 95% of people don't go past the fold on the first page. Type in where was Obama born on the internet, and you will not get a single truthful answer for the first 3 pages. It's fascinating. So let's just let everybody go to Google, because we want to make sure that special interest groups, politicians, and advertisers inform people with what they want them to hear. So what's the third way? You've got 2 search engines left now, right? Bing and Google. What's the third way? And can we prepare our organizations to make sure that our communities and our learning institutions and our schools have options that do the rest of it? Google Books. Out of the top 10 donors to the US congressional and Senate campaigns and the presidential campaigns, the top 10 donors were all copyright holders. They weren't oil firms or pharmaceutical firms, as was traditional. Out of those top 10 donors, 9 of the top 10 were foreign copyright owners. Because we went through the 30s where we got a depression, when we went from an engineering, science-driven economy to a financially driven economy and had to build the SEC, the Exchange Act, the Bank Acts, and rebuild how we handled a financially driven economy. This current recession is the movement into an information and knowledge-based economy. So digital rights management and copyright and all these things are the laws that are governing what this next economy is going to be, where the vast majority of employment will be in knowledge-based industries and knowledge-based work. So when we look at what's happening with Google Books converting 150 million books and putting them online. Anybody here have 150 million books in your library? Anybody here have DVDs in their library? Probably a big chunk of your circulation now, right? So when the DVD format is retired in 5 years, what's your strategy? You probably, some of you might still have vinyl records and 8 tracks, but formats change. We're about to go to the final format change. All online. This pipe, this broadband pipe we're talking about now is just the first step in a massive shift in the pipe we're going to have to put into stuff. Holodecks are not outside of the realm. I am such a Star Trek geek. YouTube, and as YouTube starts putting all the television stations on YouTube, and they've already signed a couple of agreements, 25% of all people in Europe watch all their television on a laptop or through an internet connection. 100% of the top 25 books on the bestseller list in Japan last year were written on a phone and sold on a phone. So how do we prepare our world for the next step in this space? You ready for it? So let's get, people who talked to me said we have to get people in Texas to understand that this is really important for the people we care about, our children, our peers in our communities that we love, our schools, our businesses, that we're ready. We need to be ready for this. And if we think we can avoid this because we're in a small town, and it's a friendly little place, and we really don't need the internet, not going to happen. Why discuss broadband at all? Because it makes a difference. There's big society trends happening, there's community needs, and there are ways of organizing this around the library as one of the critical initiatives, as a nonpartisan place to deliver important stuff to the community. Most of you know we stopped the analog signal for television, right? Channel 1 to channel 13. You know why we did that, right? Because bandwidth is limited. So Google's already applied over a year ago to the FCC for the right to put broadband internet over the old television spectrum to every community that used to get a television signal.